How's it going, YouTube? It's Cam here, and today we are at the Baldwin Municipal Airport, which is my home airport. It's where the airplane's kept, it's where I regularly fly out of, it's where I train in flying. And speaking of training, I just wanted to kind of go through what it's like being a pilot and balancing college, and kind of the steps I took that, and I want to show you guys the airplane I fly. It's a 1979 Piper Dakota, similar to a Cherokee, but with a bigger Lycoming 0540 engine in it. So I'll kind of do a walk around, show you guys the inside, show you kind of the features it has, and yeah, I went flying earlier, so I'll throw a little bit of footage into that. So just tag along and let's get to it. Prop. Oliver traffic, Cherokee 3029 Hotel is taking off runway 18, will be remaining in the pattern. Oliver. Oliver traffic, Cherokee 3029 Hotel is entering left downwind, runway 18, Oliver.
To the southwest, running to the 45, right downwind, 19 stay.
Oh, what a beautiful day. Holy cow.
466, turning right base, runway 19, dive in traffic.
Oh, it's amazing out. So first thing I want to talk about is kind of how I got my pilot's license. I started my flight training when I was 18 years old, still a senior in high school. And kind of what sealed the deal for me is I went for a flight and a citation down to Florida, and we made it to Florida in an hour and 15 minutes from Missouri, and that just blew me away. And I enjoyed it so much. I just love the small aircraft. I love kind of being in control of where you wanted to go, so that triggered what I wanted to do. That triggered me going into aviation. I'm a fourth generation pilot, so my great-grandpa actually took his private pilot check ride with Orville Wright, one of the Wright brothers. So my family's history in aviation goes way back, and since then my grandpa, my dad, and now me have been private pilots. So I love it. It just completely consumed my life. I could not imagine where I would be without getting into aviation right now. It's truly amazing, and it never gets old, just being in control of your own airplane, being able to control where you go, and being able to get to your destination so fast. We can fly to Destin, Florida in like 4.5 hours versus a 13-hour car ride. So that's a total game changer now. Aviation has ruined road trips for me. But it's incredible. I would highly recommend for anybody, especially the younger people out there, to get into aviation. If you wanted to do it for a career, which I don't intend to, there's going to be lots of job openings once the airlines recover from the whole pandemic situation. But it's amazing. Granted, it's expensive and it's hard work. It consumed like 18 months of my life doing flight training. Balancing flight training in school was definitely a challenge. I did the majority of my training in the summers. I went over the course of 2 summers. It's a minimum of 40 hours flight time required, but I was like a 66-hour pilot, I think, mainly because I spread my training out so much. I didn't go to a flight school. I went with a private instructor, and you know, I wanted to feel like I was ready. And, you know, most people don't take their check ride at 40 hours, so I really wasn't getting caught up with it. I just wanted to make sure I had a good understanding of the knowledge and the skills required to operate an airplane. Like I said earlier, it's been awesome. I love it. It's had its challenges, especially in flight training. I kind of hit a plateau about 10 hours in where I just wouldn't improve, and it got really frustrating, but I had to stay with it, and I stayed motivated, kept my face in the books, and I love it. I mean, I just can't imagine not being in aviation, and I will continue to fly till I lose my medical. But it's been a blast. Ignore the Helio Courier taking off. So I kind of want to talk about the airplane I fly now. I fly a 1979 Piper Dakota. It's a 4-seat airplane, has a 6-cylinder engine, 540 cubic inches of displacement. It's 235 horsepower, makes around 600 foot-pounds of torque. And it's an awesome machine. We have a brand new Western Skyways engine in it. We've got a decent avionics panel, autopilot, all the goods. I've never felt scared in this airplane, never worried to fly it. It's always been super reliable. It's never skipped a beat. So my dad bought it like 3 years ago, and it was an okay airplane. It had, I think, like 1,600 hours on the engine and old interior. So we just took the wintertime, updated it, we put the engine in it, we put some Garmin G5s in it, and then we synced that to the autopilot and the GPS so we could get a little more integration of the GPS with the autopilot. Mainly because he wanted to get back into instrument flying. We did the interior that winter as well. We pulled all the panels out, all the seats, everything like that, and sent them off to get recovered in leather and put them in ourselves. That was a chore. That was a lot of cold days in the hangar, but it was worth it. It looks great now. But like I said, this thing is freaking awesome. It likes the fuel. Even though it's got plenty of power, it drains the fuel. So leaned out, we can get it down to like 14 gallons an hour, which I guess isn't bad, but you're only doing like 130 knot cruise. So for your speed, you're burning quite a bit of fuel in comparison to like a Cherokee 140, 180. But I love this thing because pretty much if you can fit it in the airplane, you can haul it. I've tried to get this thing out of weight and balance doing simulations and stuff on my Garmin, and it's really hard. We have like a 1,400 pound useful load on this. So it'll pull, haul 3 people in luggage, no problem. 4 people, no luggage, and full fuel, no problem. So we're really not limited there as far as weight, but you know, we have some trade-offs with the crazy fuel burn, because just doing one person just cruising around, it likes to drink the fuel a lot more than just a 140 would. But it's awesome. I love the Dakota. I do love the power. It really keeps you out of trouble. When I'm practicing stalls, man, this thing recovers and climbs out like crazy. When I'm climbing out on a hot summer day, I have no issues of, no question about whether I'm going to be able to get to the end of the runway and keep flying or not. So it definitely treats us good. We've got a 3-blade Hartzell prop on it, which is super quiet, smooth, and it grabs the air really well. We used to have a Hartzell 2-blade on it, but we wanted to go with the 3-blade, and there's no going back. I'm super spoiled with the 3-blade prop. As far as range on this, we can get about 4 hours of flight time on one tank. 2 wings, they each hold 36 gallons each, so 72 gallons total. Now granted, you have to have a reserve, 30-minute reserve for VFR, 45-minute reserve for night or IFR. So I'm not sure exactly what that equates to nautical mile range, so I'll go ahead and post that up somewhere. But yeah, we're really spoiled with this airplane. I love the Pipers, love the Cherokee airframe. It's awesome. I fly Cessna 172s as well, and it's hard to compare the two. They both have their positives and negatives to them, but I love the Piper, love the low wing, and all of that. So like I said, for the panel and the avionics in this airplane, we have a Garmin G650, Garmin G40 or G430. We've got two Garmin G5s along with some steam gauges. We've got an ancient autopilot that we're thinking about swapping out with the new Garmin autopilot. And then we have an ADS-B transponder and an upgraded audio panel. So it gets us around really good. I'm definitely a fan of the G5s. I'll struggle to fly another airplane without them. It's just having all of your information right there, and those two compact screens for quick reference is awesome. And when I move on to do my instrument training, that's going to be essential. So it means I probably do need to practice with steam gauges more, just so I kind of have some redundancy. But the G5s are incredible, and they have spoiled me. There's nothing too much on the outside of the airplane. Like I mentioned, we have a 3-blade prop and a pretty new Western Skyways engine that runs like a top. Would highly recommend Western Skyways. They are, from what I understand, they are the top notch for overhauling. So in my opinion, it was worth the extra money. Granted, I didn't pay for it. And I'm extremely fortunate that my dad lets me fly this plane. He's got this and an Avionics Husky that he kind of switches between, but he lets me take the Dakota out whenever I want, so that's much appreciated. Definitely helps loosen the financial burden on being a college student and a pilot. Moving on to what it's like being a pilot in college. It's a really unique opportunity, and I don't think there's anybody else at my school that has their private pilot's license. So I love taking people flying and being able to give them that experience. I've taken some people flying before that have never flown, and it just blows them away. So that, it allows time for you, you can enjoy time with friends, you can make new friends, and it's a ton of fun. Now granted, with college going full steam right now, and with all the complications with the coronavirus, I haven't had much time to fly as I would like. So I tend to fly when I can. Fall's coming, so we're about to have some really good flying days before it gets cruddy again for winter. So I'm definitely going to have to capitalize on that opportunity and get out there. I'll bring you guys along with me. And I need to go for a trip. I like to go on a spring break trip somewhere. I don't really know where yet. I haven't really done a big solo cross country. Even like during my flight training, my cross countries weren't that big. So I'd like to leave the state, go somewhere on my own, maybe bring a friend or two with me and just enjoy it. So much more convenient than driving and much faster. But we've had this thing we've flown it down to Texas, we've flown it to Destin, Florida several times, we've taken it out to Custer, South Dakota a couple of times. And like I said earlier, the airplane never skips a beat. It always runs great, and it gets us where we need to go. And last year we took it up to Oshkosh for AirVenture, an amazing time. I was so upset that they canceled it in 2020, but hopefully next year we'll be able to go July of 21. I'd love to see some of you guys there. It's just an amazing event. I mean, there's like over 1 million people there in the course of a week. It's the world's busiest airport for that week. I think they had like 22,000 planes there last year. So I would highly recommend going, whether you fly or drive out. We fly, we camp out under the wing, and just enjoy a week packed full of aviation. So yeah, it's incredible. I love being a pilot, and I'm super glad that I got in aviation as early as I did, because it'd be hard to balance flight training and a full-time job. I know some people do it, but the fact that I was able to just completely dedicate to aviation during the summer really helped everything out. And I'll be able to keep learning, I'll be able to keep growing, adding different ratings on. And yeah, we'll kind of see where aviation gets me. So I appreciate you guys for watching this video, and we will see you next time.